Hey, welcome to Fridays 5. I'm Suzanne Caldeira with Guaranteed Rate. I'm a mortgage originator, but my Fridays 5 is my views, my opinions, and my guests' opinions, not necessarily the views of Guaranteed Rate. However, these are people that throughout my life, either I know or I want to know, and people that have inspired me. Today, I'm super excited to have Joshua Gorra, who's a managing partner at Gorra Financial Group, whose primary focus is on recruiting and empowering advisors to maximize their work-life integration. So Josh, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Suzanne, for having me.
I'm going to jump into these 5 questions and have a little bit of a conversation with you, but I want to know what inspires you?
The short answer is my girls. I have 2 daughters, my family. They're the reason I get up in the morning. They're the reason I go as hard as I do. They're the ones that inspire me. Change more than anything, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's. I think it goes into having that powerful why. I think if you didn't have them, do you think you would be as inspired?
So what's funny is that over the years, I've done well in my career and I've always been motivated, but there's a huge difference, as you know, between motivation and inspiration. I can't say I'd be the same man I am today if I didn't have them 4.5 years ago.
I think it's easy to be inspired or even motivated, but a lot of it comes with and maybe your girls are the thing that keeps you going, because how do you deal when you don't feel like it?
You know, it is challenging. There's right, we're all human. There's no silver bullet. But on the days that I don't feel like I have it, or I'm tired, or I'm sluggish, or I don't want to run the 8 meetings virtually or in person, whatever it is today, I remind myself the things that I'm grateful for, the simple things. Exercising in the morning gets your mind going, and spending time with the girls in the morning first thing sets that tone for me. And it just those simple reminders. It might sound simple, but it's definitely not. I can tell you there's going to be days where you don't have it and you have to dig deep. And that's why I developed this checklist that I use. And one of them is gratitude. That's the first one.
What are some of the other things that are on your checklist that kind of help keep your brain in check?
The first one is gratitude. I start the day. I'm thankful for 2 things that happened the day before and 1 thing I'm thankful for today, right? Or 1 person I'm thankful for today. So and the challenge is to do it differently every single day. So it's muscle memory, right? You can't use the same. Somebody says, okay, I'll wake up and say, I'm thankful for Monica. I'm thankful for Vanessa. I mean, you could do that 7 days a week. It might not help. The challenging thing is to do it every single day, to do it differently. When you focus on what you're thankful for versus what we don't have, it's a lot easier to just get out of that funk that you are mentally. So that's why it's number 1. Self-care is number 2. Exercise is part of that self-care for me. It doesn't mean we have to run a marathon daily or do 100 miles on a bike, but it does mean to do something to jumpstart the system. Before you start your day, before you give your clients, before you give everybody around you a piece of you, give yourself that first 30 to 60 minutes to really set the tone for yourself. Be neutral. Third one is circle of influence. Jim Rohn, big fan of his work. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And we've probably heard that in different variations, but this, right? It's very true, Suzanne, right? Like that's the only way we up our game. Like I love talking to you because you motivate me, right? And we have that camaraderie, which helps. And I try to keep that top of mind whenever I speak to center of influences or just evaluate my circle. It doesn't mean that somebody's good or bad. It just means that we all evolve. Circle of influence is very important. So passion's the next one. Be passionate about what you do. If your heart's not in it, what's the point? Learn daily is another one. And for me, it's audible.com. So instead of reading books, because it's tough for me sometimes with all the meetings and scheduling, but you and I can pick up the phone, get on audible.com, download a book and keep moving. So trust your journey, give back, discipline yourself, mentoring, inspire. So trust the journey is probably the most important piece. And in confirming in your mind, if you can see it in your brain first, it's going to actually happen. With some of the people that I coach, mortgage people, realtors, financial advisors, but when you share those principles with other sales professionals, I found a common denominator. And it's having the discipline. It's having the discipline to have micro wins and macro wins, right? So you have to have wins and losses. But if you have 2 daily, like you get up in the morning and say, okay, part of the self-care, part of the gratitude, part of the passion, how do I influence my circle in a good way, in the best way possible, by influencing myself first. Right? So if I start with 2 micro goals, what do I want to get done today? And what's the macro goal? So if I want to get 2,000 calories done today or burnt, I know I have to do the walk with my dogs, go to work, come back, change, do the bike ride, shower, change, dinner, keep going, right? But the micro and the macro have to be tied together.
So yeah, I mean, I think the thing is having a checklist, and also having, like you say, you've got a way that keeps you in check. And maybe you've got a day of gratitude and it doesn't hit you, but your routine hits you, or your self-care hits you. I'm a true believer in that. You got to fill your cup first, because if you don't fill your cup first, how can you show up? How can you show up well for your family, for your clients? If you're not healthy, like, how can you show up well for the people around you? Like, if you're just not feeling well.
You can't. It's impossible. You can tell when I don't have my pre-workout in the morning or coffee, it's like I'm a different human being.
That's awesome.
But this morning, Vanessa got up before me, which, by the way, I've inspired her. Which, how cool is that? Like, she never, ever, being 100% Colombian, I can tell you, and I love Colombian, all, Spanish people, whatever it is, but this is an inside joke. Like, she hates mornings, or I should say, didn't like mornings, right? And now it's like, honey, well, when am I going to work out? I have to watch the girls. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I said, I got it. We could tell our story. That's the story you've told yourself. So if you change that piece, morning or afternoon, whatever you want, for me, it's morning. If I set the tone for me, I'm the best for you and the girls. Why don't you try it? And now, I mean, she's up at 5. I mean, it's amazing. But I love the fact that it's inspired her. And in a way, right, you call it the circle, right? I mean, she inspires me because, man, she's with the girls all day long. I mean, it's pretty cool, and she finds the energy to do it. So to your point, it's hard to be happy if you look in the mirror, you're not happy with yourself.
I like that, what you shared about the story you tell yourself. Because I was that person. That said, I am not a morning person, and I would fight it. And then Mel Robbins, who you might be familiar with, when I heard the 5-second rule, man, that changed my life. It's, you just count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The days that I don't feel like doing it, I jump out of bed. I have my alarm in my bathroom. I jump out of bed, and I will shake my head like a dog.
I love it.
And like my cheeks are like, it's like I have jowls. And I just go, because I know if I lay back down, the rats are going to get in the brain. You probably do this in your practice. Like, have you learned forgiveness for the times where you might have a few days where things aren't going that well?
So what happens is we evolve, right? And vulnerability is a strength, and it takes people a lifetime sometimes to figure that out. And we're always thinking like black and white. There's no gray. And the funny thing is, there's more gray than there is black and white. Right? Like the space between our ears is the worst enemy, or your best friend, depending on how you look at it. When I don't feel it, Suzanne, and we've talked about this, I just don't do it. If I'm not into it that day, I'm not going to work. I don't feel like talking to anybody because I'm just in a funk. I'll run myself into oblivion, or bike, or spend time with the girls, or meditate, whatever it is, to follow that checklist to get out of that funk. But the whole time I'm saying, hey man, cut yourself some slack.
Josh, I love how you're talking about your book and what you're working on. What is it? What's the title?
So thank you for asking. The title of the book is Start with Gratitude, 10 Daily Principles to Maximize Each Day. And the focus around the book is really just to have that checklist, and I share a story on each principle and how they became, because we all have a story and different things that have led to who we are today. But there's a lot of intent. I was very intentional and very careful as far as, what stories I share, what I don't share, right? Because there's a lot that we could talk about, but the main things that are the common denominators that people go through or could follow and be helpful from what I found with clients I'm working with, those are the 10 principles I focus on.
I think this more than anyone. Success is not convenient, and those who are disciplined and follow those, whatever their steps are. And I think yours, if you're making it easy for people to follow, is great.
It is, and I'm honored. I'm flattered. LA Wired, a publication in Los Angeles, picked it up. A bunch of different ABC, NBC, a bunch of publications picked it up. It's being released in the summer, this summer, and it'll be a paperback, then a Kindle, then Audible. So I'm really pumped about that. And the goal is to help as many people as possible. Actually, and 20% of any sales I make in the first 2 years is going to go or donated to feedingamerica.com.
There's a reason that you're this, Josh. And I like to say that, and it's not original in I like to say, but people have defining moments. And it sounds like you're picking one or two or three in your brain right now, but do you have some that, or one that you can share with the audience on, what made this, Josh? What were those, or what was that defining moment?
At a young age, I was hit by a car. It was a hit and run. I was 10 years old. I was clinically dead for 3 minutes. All I remember is getting on a gurney, getting strapped down, right? The gentleman says, "Hey, hang in there, Josh, you'll be fine." I went from Lawrence, Mass to Boston, and woke up under a bunch of lights and had a bunch of stuff strapped to me and tried to pull things off. Couldn't speak English. I only knew Spanish. And thank God for my mom. She was there all the time and communicating with the doctors, those I call them angels at Children's Hospital, because they saved my life. But I had to relearn everything. I had to relearn English. I had to relearn how to walk, how to talk, how to do it, all that stuff. So that was a really defining moment, because it gave me a perspective around nothing is guaranteed, right? I could have been gone. I wouldn't even be here. The second one for sure is having my kids. Actually, backtrack. Meeting Vanessa. Vanessa came into one of my prior office, and I've interviewed thousands of people, right? It just doesn't faze you, and it was like lightning in a bottle. And fast forward, and we have 2 girls. So the 3 defining moments, I would say that the bike accident, meeting Vanessa, and have my girls.
That's for sure inspiring. And question 3 here: who have been some of your, I know you mentioned one briefly earlier, but who have been some of the mentors or some of the people that have shaped you and kind of turned you into the man you are now?
The first was my mom. My mom has worked her tail off since her whole life. I'm one of 3 boys. I'm the middle one. I'm the one that drove her nuts, right? And she was always supportive, right? It's unconditional love, and go do what you got to do. I'd say the second one is Jim Rohn, Rohn, Jim Rohn. He's the guy the gentleman passed away in 2009. But in 1999, walking into Providence, or 2000, Providence Place Mall, when it was first built, and they had the X Games across the street. I was going to meet a girl at the time, right? And I'm running late, or she's running late. So I go into the Barnes and Nobles or Borders, whatever that was. Now it's like a DSW. So I'm walking down the aisle, and I walk by this book, and it's called The Seasons of Life. And I'm like, well, that's a strange title. Seasons of Life, Jim Rohn. I open it. It has a picture of I don't want to say goofy, but if you know who Jim Rohn is, like, he just has he has a certain smile to him, a certain charisma to him that it caught my attention. And it said personal development. And I was like, wow, what a concept. Like, what does he mean? And so I would say that was a huge impact on me. It changed a lot of the ways I look at everything. He talks about change your mindset, change your future, right? If I can change, you can change. If I can change for me, you're going to change for you. We're going to do better together. And so all those little one percenters, the things he came up with really helped me. And the third one, I would say Faye Mindell, Dr. Faye Mindell. She's a mentor of mine, a friend of mine, and the latest coach I worked with 3 years ago, and off and on with my team. But she really helped me focus on being present.
That for me has helped so much more in my business. Staying present, staying engaged with the person, and like really, really listening, and then releasing any attachment to whether or not they do business with me, whether or not they like me. Just want to get that connection and do the best job and be the best and show up the best version of me for them. And ultimately, everything will take care of itself. The fourth question that I love asking guests, Josh, is what are the books? What are the podcasts? And you've already shared some, but are there some others that maybe have shaped you?
The Seasons of Life. So Jim Rohn, one of the best books I ever read. After fall, he jokes and says, after fall comes winter. After winter comes spring. After spring comes summer. right? And it's the seasons of life. Like life is the same way. You're gonna have challenges. You're gonna have great victories. It's all it's ebbs and flows. You're gonna have challenges. You're gonna win. You're gonna lose. It is what it is. But you have to know that after every recession, there's an expansion, and after every expansion, there's a recession. It all works the same way. So that book, highly recommend it. David Goggins, right? Can't Hurt Me, as we talked about, really good book. Start with Why. Simon Sinek was another really good read. He talks about the purpose of why you do things. Dig deep as to what you're doing. Because a lot of people do jobs just to get an income, or maybe they're good at it, but they hate what they do. So, dig deep and find out if that's really what you want to do. Another one by Simon, Infinite Games. That was actually a really good book as well. And it talks about there is no finish line. It's similar to David Goggins, as far as you just got to bring your best. The 4-hour work week, Tim Ferriss. So no, it doesn't literally mean let's work 4 hours and that's it. But because a lot of people ask, like, Josh, why would I read that? And I said, no, it's not about that. It's about automation. It's about having social media. It's having a newsletter, an email newsletter, postcard. It's about marketing online, marketing billboards. Like, you're doing a little bit of everything, but it's automated, whatever it is, whatever your systems are. And look at the world we're in today. If you can't automate, it's game over.
So fifth and final here, and it's really not a question. I want my viewers to be able to connect with you and learn more about you. What's the best ways for them to connect and find you and follow you?
The coaching business is Destination Driven LLC, Mindset Driven, or Mindset_driven on Instagram, and then just same thing on Facebook. But my website is joshgorra.com. And that's the best way to connect with me on the coaching side. On the financial services side, it's one or two. It's two in the same, really. But my email is jgorra@gorrafinancial.com. So I've actually launched this gratitude community, and there's a cell phone number that they can be part of to have that mental check. So the best way I stay in check is by helping others stay in check. So selfishly, it helps me too. It's one of the best things. So I'll give you the number. It's 617-286-3757.
Josh, I got to say, thank you so much for being on here. You continually inspire me. And sometimes I've used you when I've been down, saying, I'm going to call Josh. I need to fill my cup with a little bit of Josh and get a little bit of inspiration. You've definitely made an impact on me and on my life. And I'm sure on so many others' lives where people are thanking you. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And by the way, you've done the same for me.
Thank you.
One of those professionals that's been consistent. You made a change in your career from Shamrock to Guaranteed Rate, and it's like you never, if anything, you probably double down, right? So I commend you. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much. Seriously, thank you.